Another fascinating day in this country we call America. Quick question for the audience. Did anyone else get a group chat invite from the National Security Advisor today?
YouTube has terminated our main channel with millions of views just for telling the truth. But you can help us regrow by just subscribing to the channel, liking the video, and commenting down below. Thank you. Jimmy Kimmel kicked off the show by poking fun at the chaos in American politics, joking about getting a group chat invite from Trump's national security advisor. He equipped that in the race between dumb and evil, dumb is winning. Michael Waltz accidentally added reporter Jeffrey Goldberg to a chat about a military strike in Yemen, sharing sensitive info over a hackable app with one person even in Russia at the time. Instead of admitting the mistake, the administration denied everything, claiming they were discussing Hoody and the Blowfish. Kimmel found it fascinating, especially as the Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth blamed the reporter for the blunder.
You're talking about a deceitful and highly discredited so-called journalist who's made a profession of peddling hoaxes time and time again, to include the hoaxes of Russia, or the fine people on both sides hoax, or suckers and losers hoax. So this is the guy that peddles in garbage.
Jimmy Kimmel compared the situation to getting drunk, crashing into a lamppost, and blaming the lamppost, highlighting the absurdity of the blame game.
Details shared on Signal, and how did you learn that a journalist was privy to the targets, the types of weapons used?
I've heard I was characterized. Nobody was texting war plans, and that's all I have to say about that.
Jimmy Kimmel sarcastically asked what the guy who accidentally received the war plans had to say about the situation, poking fun at the ridiculousness of the mistake.
I want to start by getting your reaction to what we heard from Secretary Hegseth. They were saying that nobody was texting war plans. Given you were privy to this group chat, is that how you saw it?
No, that's a lie. He was texting war plans.
Jimmy Kimmel highlighted that there's no debate. The texts are authentic, many coming from Pete Hegseth, the same person who criticized Hillary Clinton's private email server.
If there was anyone other than Hillary Clinton, they would be in jail right now.
Correct.
For what has been done. Because the assumption is in the intelligence community, if you are using unclassified means, there is the potential for and likelihood that foreign governments are targeting those accounts and gathering intelligence.
Jimmy Kimmel joked that Hillary Clinton must be laughing as Pete Hegseth wasn't the only one with contradictory views. He pointed out Mike Waltz, who criticized Biden's advisor for sending top-secret messages to Clinton's private account, and Marco Rubin, who also had strong opinions in the matter.
The exposure of American sensitive information to foreign intelligence agencies by communicating in an insecure manner is incompetence, it is malpractice, it's inexcusable.
Jimmy Kimmel agreed, praising the point made, but noted that while Marco Rubio's criticism was spot on in 2015, his comments today told a different story.
Secretary Rubio, any comments on the Signal group chat that you were involved in?
Jimmy Kimmel mocked the situation, saying he had to run and hide like a mouse while Mike Waltz was likely in big trouble. He pointed out that in any other scenario, these people would be fired, or worse. Instead, they're claiming the information wasn't classified, trying to cover their tracks with help from the right-wing media.
Did you hear about the snafu? Can we call it a snafu? A little bit of an oops maneuver?
I mean, mistakes happen. Mistakes happen all the time.
Jeffrey Goldberg is somebody that President Trump and his senior advisors do not like.
He is not a credible reporter.
He is rotten.
Regardless of what you think, the operation was overwhelmingly successful.
If you read the content of these messages, I think you'll come away proud.
It was a refreshing look to see that we actually did have leaders that were getting along and having a robust conversation.
I have no concerns about it at all. It's adults having a discussion.
What you did see, though, I think, was top-level officials doing their job, doing it well.
It doesn't come close to Joe Biden putting all that classified stuff in his garage, does it?
Well, this is what the leftist media is reduced to. So now we're griping about who's on a text message and who's not. I mean, come on.
Did you ever try to start a group text? You're adding people and you accidentally add the wrong person. All of a sudden, your Aunt Mary knows all your raunchy plans for the bachelor party. Well, that kind of happened today with the Trump administration.
Jimmy Kimmel joked about the Senate Intelligence Committee hearing, comparing it to an awkward road trip with your mom after an embarrassing incident. Despite denials, even Republicans agreed it was a major security breach. Kimmel also pointed out that Trump, who used to fire people constantly, now claims he's fine with the situation, likening him to an old dog who no longer chases the ball. He highlighted J.D. Vance's reluctant agreement with Trump's bombing plan. Finally, Kimmel poked fun at Trump sending J.D. Vance's wife Usha to Greenland for unknown reasons, and how Trump couldn't remember her name during a cabinet meeting.
Confused about the Second Lady and the National Security Advisor visiting this week.
I thought it would be I have great respect for the wife of our great Vice President. I think she's a brilliant woman. She's a very nice woman, and she loves the concept of Greenland.
Jimmy Kimmel had a laugh about Trump sending J.D. Vance's wife Usha to Greenland, saying he loves the concept of Greenland, though of course he couldn't remember her name. Then he joked, and now it turns out J.D. Vance loves the concept of Greenland too. Must be contagious.
Hey guys, it's J.D. Vance, the Vice President, and you know there was so much excitement around Usha's visit to Greenland this Friday that I decided that I didn't want her to have all that fun by herself, and so I'm going to join her.
Jimmy Kimmel joked that thanks to the group chat scandal, he's heading far away and advised not to text him on Signal. He added, this would be hilarious if it was happening to another country. Kimmel then laughed about Florida running out of orange juices due to deceased crops, with even the trees now having STDs. He also pointed out that the trees double as homes for invasive pythons. But don't worry, Majority Tyler Greene is on top of Florida's most important issues.
I'm headed down to the Natural Resources Committee, where I will be presenting my bill to rename the Gulf of America. This will codify President Trump's executive order to rename the Gulf of America, its rightful name.
Jimmy Kimmel joked about Majority Tyler Greene's shirt, calling it adorably tragic, with the horse that kicked her in the head. He quipped that she's one of the strong women making America great, then celebrated Women's History Month with the true champion of equal rights, President Donald J. Trump, because who else could it be?
Helen Keller, you know her, you love her, even though she was deaf, dumb, and blind as a rock. She couldn't speak, she couldn't see, and her golf game was a disaster. Couldn't putt to save her own life. But then a fantastic woman took the time to teach her how to read and write very well, even better than Eric. And she loved water, went crazy for it. Wah-wah is what she called it. Wah-wah. Poor girl couldn't say Diet Coke. Helen Keller wrote 12 books, but no one knows if they made any sense. Probably didn't. And then she campaigned for women voting, which I did very well with women. Record women voters, all for Trump, thanks to Helen. They called her Helen. What a word, Helen. She liked Ike. He was not a great beauty either. Sometimes blind is good. In 1980, Helen got her own postage stamp, just like another American hero who couldn't talk very good, named Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo. Remember Scooby? Scooby loved his snacks, he loved them, he loved to lick and sniff. I hate dogs, but I love Scooby-Doo. Happy Women's History Month to all the haters and to Helen.
On Trump's tariff war with allies, Trump's tariff crusade is backfiring spectacularly as both Canada and Europe respond with $60 billion in retaliatory measures. This isn't strategic negotiation, it's economic self-sabotage that's already hitting American consumers' wallets.
Actions we're taking from my colleague and friend Dominique Leblanc. Canada is holding strong and will continue to do so together. Well, make no mistake though, this is going to be a day-to-day fight. This is now the second round of unjustified tariffs leveled against Canada and Canadian goods. The excuse for the first round was exaggerated claims about our border. We addressed all the concerns raised by the US, and in return, they agreed to temporarily abide by the free trade agreement President Trump signed himself with Canada. The latest excuse is national security, despite the fact that Canadian steel and aluminum add to America's security, not take away from it. All the while, the threat there is a threat to further and broader tariffs on April 2nd still looming. The excuse for those tariffs shifts every day. The only constant in this unjustified and unjustifiable trade war seems to be President Trump's talks of annexing our country through economic coercion. Yesterday, he called our border a fictional line and repeated his disrespectful 51st state rhetoric. Well, Canadians have made it very clear that we will not back down and we will not give in to this.
On Trump's Canada annexation rhetoric, Trump's suggestion of making Canada the 51st state isn't just diplomatically tone-deaf, it's the language of conquest that's alienating our closest ally. The irony of a self-proclaimed border hawk calling the Canadian border artificial shows his principles are whatever serves him in the moment.
Ally very quickly when there's new leadership.
Well, the president is, again, responding to the fact that Canada has been ripping off the United States of America and hardworking Americans for decades.
On Mark Carney's response, Mark Carney measured yet firm response showcases the stark contrast between leadership styles, while Trump blunders with threats. Carney demonstrates how economic expertise and worker-focused politics can coexist with diplomatic strength.
Show about what will happen in Ottawa, and within 4 days, Toledo and Lansing, Bowling Green will start going down. And the day after the tariffs were announced, he immediately backed down on auto. Why wasn't he taking advice from the big automakers in the first place of the chaos that he would cause? Now in agriculture, it's going to be another big area with $73 billion shared trade. This is a totally integrated market. And Donald promised lower grocery prices in his first 100 days. Americans, like Canadians, have already seen the shocks of inflation, the shocks of post-COVID. Once he starts messing with that market and he's saying some things in CUSMA are protected and other things aren't, nobody knows. It's creating uncertainty, and it's making it very difficult for suppliers on both sides of the border. So I think what American farmers are waking up to is the fact that Canadians are no longer buying their products. We're just not going to participate in this abusive relationship. You threaten us, we don't buy your products. How about that?
On market response to Trump policies, the data doesn't lie. Global markets are thriving while US markets have tanked since Trump's inauguration. Investors aren't buying the economic theater of White House Tesla photo shoots while real policy chaos unfolds.
Most importantly. And so the president will continue to effectively utilize tariffs while, again, driving down the cost of living in this country. Both things can happen at the same time. Just look at President Trump's first term as an example. When he left office, inflation was a low 1.4%. It was only
on Caroline Leavitt's tariff explanation, when Trump press secretary claims tariffs are tax cuts for Americans, we're witnessing Orwellian doublespeak in real time. Consumers are already paying 8 to 10% more for basic necessities like home heating equipment because tariffs are, by definition, taxes paid by importers and passed to consumers. On the Trump administration relationship with allies, Trump treats allies like adversaries and adversaries like friends, creating unpredicted diplomatic instability. The gaslighting attempt to blame Canada for being mean after threatening annexation reveals profound weakness beneath the bluster.